Welcome to the first of my 10-part series of videos all about weight loss. So watch this one and then watch the other 9. Often when you're dieting, you're told about what you should cut out, what you should eat less of. And actually you end up being a bit miserable and hungry all the time and then randomly thinking about food all the time. So what I'd like to suggest instead is thinking about what you need to eat more of when you're trying to lose weight. Sounds a bit funny, right? But often people say to me, gosh, you eat quite big portions, you're quite slim, how do you do it? And this is the secret I'm going to share with you. So there's 2 kind of food groups of which actually if you eat the right amount, because most of us are not doing already, then it can help with your weight loss journey. And this is protein and fiber. So let's find out why. So let's start with protein. Why do we need to make sure we're having enough protein? You don't necessarily need a high protein diet, but lots of us are not eating enough. And there are 4 good reasons why making sure you've got enough protein in your diet will help you lose weight. So the first reason is protein takes longer to digest than other nutrients. So it keeps you fuller for longer and more satisfied. So you're less likely to kind of be going over to the snack cupboard and having cravings mid-afternoon, things like that, if you've eaten an adequate amount of protein. So it keeps you fuller for longer. Second reason is that often when you lose weight, especially if you lose weight quickly, it's not necessarily fat you're losing, it's often water and muscle. So it's really important when you are losing weight to eat protein because protein helps your muscles. Third reason, you actually burn more calories eating protein than you do carbohydrates and fats. So there's something called the thermic effect of food. And this is because your body uses calories to digest and break down that food to produce nutrients and energy. And protein has a higher thermic effect of food than carbohydrate and fat. So you're losing more weight, kind of, just by eating it. And the fourth and final reason. Protein is much harder to store as fat compared to carbohydrates or fats. So even if you eat too much protein, your body's going to struggle to hold on to that as fat. So overall, we need to make sure you've got an adequate amount of protein. And as I said, most of us aren't having enough. So think about adding beans, think about adding dairy, lean unprocessed meat, fish, even nuts and seeds. They're all going to be great ways to add more protein to your diet. And if you stay watching right to the end, I'm going to give you loads of practical tips on day-to-day how you can increase this in your diet. Okay, and the second food group we all need to be eating more of is fiber. Now, about 90% of us are not eating the recommended amount of fiber, and this can have a massive impact on your attempts to lose weight. So fiber is essentially a carbohydrate that your body can't digest. And there are 2 different types of fiber. There is insoluble fiber, which means it cannot dissolve in water. And this essentially is like a bulking agent. So the more of it you eat, the more calories you lose in your poo. That sounds nice and easy, doesn't it? And then the second type of fiber is soluble fiber. So this can dissolve in water. This makes you feel fuller and therefore reduces your appetite. And it also acts as a prebiotic. So this means it feeds your good, healthy gut bacteria. Now, if you haven't, then you should watch my video all about gut health and why it's really important, not only for your overall health, but also for maintaining a healthy weight or losing weight. We know people who have good, healthy gut microbiome are less likely to be overweight. Unfortunately, studies have shown that trying to increase your fiber through a supplement isn't very successful. So it's much better to focus on what you can do in your diet than just take a supplement. So before I go on to talk about these tips for your everyday diet, I just want you to take away that by adding more protein and fiber into every meal you have, so every meal, think about, has this got protein in? Has this got fiber in? You can have a bigger meal. You can make sure you're not hungry, not miserable and dieting and, So this is why you've got to eat more fiber and protein. Now, let's find out how you can make this changes to your everyday diet. Switch to whole grain. So rather than having white bread, white pasta, white rice, give a little switch. Something that's maybe got nuts and seeds in as well. That's going to be extra protein and extra fiber. And we always have brown pasta in. Excuse me out the way, please, cameraman. So yeah, keep it brown, keep it high fiber. And then what about snacks? Because it's so easy when you're hungry and you're in a rush and you're late to just grab something that's probably like high fat, high salt, high sugar. So instead, be prepared, have a little think. Obviously, some sort of vegetables, and these are great for when you're either preparing food and you're a bit hungry, or to give your kids when they're waiting for their meal and maybe they're watching telly. Go and give them some maybe carrots, hummus, cucumber, and that's going to help stave off the hunger and provide lots of fibre. Whilst I'm eating, multigrain crackers, they're going to be a good alternative as well. When you just want a little snack, you can dip it in different things. Try and choose something that's not too high fat for the dipping. Doesn't matter that I was still eating. Okay, so we need to think about increasing nuts and seeds in your diet. Nuts and seeds, I know it can be quite expensive, but you don't necessarily need a lot. But you can think about adding them. So I have porridge in the morning, so eggs, oats are fantastic, really good prebiotic. And then if you put nuts and seeds on, that's also going to increase protein and fibre. Add some berries on there if you can. They can be frozen, so they don't have to be fresh and too expensive. I use frozen raspberries, frozen blueberries. Try and mix it up. You can have different things on different days. And think about your lunches. If you can have a salad, pop maybe some flaxseed or chia seed in, or add it into soups, salads. I like to toast some pine nuts when I have a salad. Makes quite a big difference. Pumpkin seeds, sesame seeds, things like that, they're great as well on top of stir-fry salads or on top of your porridge, things like that, on yogurt. So adding in nuts and seeds are a fantastic way of getting protein and fibre. Also, another good thing to snack on is kind of nuts and seeds. These are actually wasabi, so these are nice and spicy as well. So a good thing just to have around. So instead of reaching for the chocolate or the chips, crisps, you're going to have some alternative instead. Switch out your regular yogurt for a high protein version. I've got some coconut yogurt here, which is high protein, but Greek yogurt is also fantastic. So make that switch, add on top of it, if you like, some nuts, berries, seeds, and that's going to be a great alternative with lots of protein. Okay, and this is something I do a lot. If you're making a meal, try and think how you can add in some beans or lentils. Pulses like this are fantastic at really high protein, high fibre. They're really going to fill you up, and you're going to need less calories overall. So without trying, you're going to be fuller and less hungry and lose weight more easily. So butter beans I chuck into if I'm making like a pasta sauce. Chickpeas, great for all sorts of things actually. Salads, curries, really good. Chili beans, if you're making the chili, it's already got the sauce in. That's a quick and easy way to do it. And I use loads of frozen veg as well. So when you're thinking about vegetables, think about frozen veg, because I know lots of diet books often say things like, you know, have avocado, have this and that, which are brilliant but expensive. So in a way to think about things that, shall I have a look, see what I've got in my freezer? Usually loads of frozen veg, because what you want to think is about half of your plate. Do you want to have a look in my freezer? I haven't prepared this. So we've got loads of frozen spinach, frozen veg, mushrooms, peas, like a stir-fry pack, sweet potato. Here are my berries that I have on my porridge in the morning, some blueberries here, and some ice cream. It's a balance. But the point is, each of your meals should be about half vegetables. And in that way, you're going to get loads of fibre and protein, and you're not going to be as hungry. And so try and keep it, that for me, frozen veg is a really quick way. I've got 3 children, I'm usually in a rush. A quick way of making meals that are cheap, tasty, and deliver that protein and fibre I need. A lot of people like to make their own smoothies to try and get loads of nutrition in one place. Make sure you are keeping skin on fruit though, because when you have fruit, if you take the skin off, you're losing a lot of the fibre. And if you're going to have bananas, if you have the more green bananas, that's actually a really good prebiotic to feed your gut bacteria. And think about adding in seeds, chia seeds, things like that are really going to increase the fibre content of your smoothie. So that's worth a go as well. Oh, and I just want to clarify, when I'm talking about porridge, which you may know as oatmeal, I'm not talking about those packets that are like pre-made with maple syrup and this and that. I'm talking about the really cheap bags of oats that you get like this, that I decant into a little glass thing. What are they called? I've forgotten. And these are like such a cheap way of having breakfast. It's probably the cheapest breakfast you can have, but really high in fibre, like it even says it, high in fibre and whole grain. So I think it's the best start. And you can either have water, plant milk, or regular milk, and then put on tons of toppings, whatever you like. So I hope you found those practical ideas really helpful, because what I want you to get from this is to understand why it's important, so why we need to make sure we're having more protein and fibre, and how that can help you lose weight, and how you can actually make this happen for you and your family in a really easy, simple way that isn't also going to cost a fortune. So keep watching the rest of my videos for more advice all about how you can successfully lose weight for life.